let's get into it. This is panel number one, and we are going to be looking at impact investing with a focus on social housing. I think that this is a really, really timely and important topic, and I'm really grateful to have the experts that we've got on this panel. As we go, by the way, I might take photos of myself. So if you're wondering, that's what I'm doing, going like that. You're welcome to do that too. And if, in particular, if there's some insight you're getting, feel free to share it with others. Put it on LinkedIn or somewhere. What's something that you're learning as we go through the day? It's another way to keep this interactive. So what is impact investing? It's really simple. Impact investing is saying, let's use money that traditionally maybe we were giving or maybe we were having in a term deposit with an offshore owned bank, or it was sitting in a bond over here earning nominal amounts, and actually we invest it for impact. That means that we get financial return and impact. That's it. It's really simple. There's a paper that I helped write for the Center for Social Impact called The Overview of Impact Investing in Aotearoa. So if you're interested, have a look at that. There's a lot of great graphics and case studies and things about what is impact investing and where does it fit between traditional finance and philanthropy. So the panel today, the way this is going to work is I'm going to be asking them to introduce themselves, and they have a question that they're going to be answering. So we're going to be going around the room, if you like, the online room, and we're going to be learning about impact investing through the lens of social housing or community housing. So I'd like to start first by asking Paul Gilberd to join us. And I know he's here. I saw him before. Good to see you, Paul.
Maha.
Kia ora. So you're the CEO at Community Housing Aotearoa. The thing that I'm interested to learn from you is outlining a little bit about this sector in a broad sense. I know
Mm.
it could be a PhD, but in a broad sense, why is this important? And then what's the role of Community Housing Aotearoa within that space? I'll hand it over
Mm.
to you. Thank you.
Okay, tēnā koutou katoa. Yeah, thanks, Stephen, and thank you so much for the team organising this. Look, I think I'll start with the New Zealand housing system. So people may or may not know there are about 2 million homes in New Zealand, including apartments, but that doesn't include bridges or tents or cars. And around 100,000 of those 2 million homes are looked after by either our community sector or Kainga Order. Kainga Order is what used to be Housing New Zealand. They've got about 75,000 homes. And then the community sector, which is faith-based organisations, some city councils, a lot of community housing providers. We've got about 26,000 homes. So that's the whole of the pie in terms of houses in New Zealand. And generally, what we're trying to do is we're trying to fill the gaps which are not covered by the market. So the market does what it does, but it doesn't tend to look after people on low incomes or moderate incomes or people with challenges, disabilities, etc. And so we represent at CHAR, the job that we do is we represent alongside our Te Tiriti partner, Te Matapihi, who are also on this call. We look after people who are really struggling to adequately house themselves. And so we've got 107 provider members who provide housing from Invercargill to Kaitaia, and they do all sorts of different types of housing from emergency to home ownership to social housing, which has been in the media a lot the last 24 hours. And really, we believe every New Zealander deserves a decent place to call home, that housing is a human right. And so we are charities and we do the very, very best we can to look after people with manaki and with the support services that they need. And so our job at CHAR is really trying to lean into government and get better policy settings and better funding settings to support that stuff, because the market doesn't deliver it and we need some support from the likes of local and central government to make that happen. So that's sort of a broad summary of what we do in the New Zealand housing system.
I love it. And the thing that you're so good at is coordinating and making sure that there's a voice for the sector. So thank you for all the work that you do. And just before I forget, you have a conference coming up in June, which maybe we can put the link in the chat so that people are interested. Why not come? I'll be there. Our team will be there.
Stephen.
We're looking forward to it. Um, Paul, is there anything else that you wanted to say at a high level? Yeah, you've been in this sector for a while. Obviously, there has been news in the last 24 hours. I didn't prep you for this, but yeah, any other thought?
Yeah, number one, we are deeply hopeful and confident we can fix the housing crisis in New Zealand. We can particularly quite easily and quickly solve homelessness in New Zealand. Homelessness is a political choice, and so I just want to give people a strong sense of optimism that we have both the capability and the capacity within the community sector to actually solve the housing crisis. There is huge underutilized capacity in the system, no better illustrated than the recent funding round, which was 10 times oversubscribed. So we're ready, we're willing, we're able, and we can do more than we're doing right now, and we're up for it. So please remain hopeful, people. There are solutions available.
I love it. And that's really a theme that this conference is going to be highlighting is the positive signs, the green shoots and things. Well, thank you, Paul. We'll probably come back to you in a minute or two. Ali Hamlin-Paenga, thank you for joining as well. You're from Te Matapihi, and we've actually known each other a while now. I really enjoyed the conference that you had at Waitangi last year. Can you describe for us a little bit about Te Matapihi? And then I'm really curious about Kainga housing and some of the elements from that and the approach of Te Ao Māori, which might be helpful when we're thinking about social housing.
Kia ora tātou, ko Ali Hamlin-Paenga tōku ingoa. No te aitanga maha ki Ngāti Parau, Ngāti Kahungunu. Thank you, Stephen, for the opportunity to speak here today. And Te Matapihi is a voice for Māori providers, whānau, hapu, marae, iwi across Aotearoa. We work right across the housing system, from homelessness right through to development, and in particular looking at ways to work and build on whenua Māori. We don't operate as a membership as such. We operate as a steward and serve the people across our Māori housing system. In terms of Kainga, we have some really great examples around the country of various developments that whānau, iwi and hapu have stood up. One of the things that we think about when we're looking at Kainga, we think about it around the perception of wai, kai, whānau, whenua and whakapapa, and understanding those concepts and how they contribute to the bigger picture of being housed, because as we all know, it's not just about the four-wall structure. It's about the kai that sustains us, the waterways that run through our whenua. It's about the whānau connections and being able to connect for that spiritual well-being. It's about taking care of the whenua and looking at, other options like renewable energy. And it's about whakapapa as well, because mokopuna future housing is one of the solutions that Paul mentions. We have to be mokopuna focused, and we have to make decisions that will ensure that our mokopuna are well housed, safe, warm, and happy. That's a key. So Te Matapihi, we have a very close relationship with Cha as well, and we work and lean into government and bring the voice of our people into that space.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. I love that idea of the mokopuna perspective, the thinking intergenerationally. And thank you for sharing. And also the holistic view of people. It's not just about here's a structure to live in. It's about the whole encompassing, isn't it? Mm. Well, that leads really nicely to Annie Wilson. Annie's joining us from Kainga Maha, and I was curious if you could tell us a little bit about Kainga Maha. I actually remember meeting you the first time when you first arrived in New Zealand, and I'm so glad you've ended up with home and the associated groups there. Can you tell us about Kainga Maha, and then tell us a little bit about the idea or the concept of mixed tenure and what that means for developments that you're part of?
Sure thing. Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Annie tōku ingoa no Hungary o Kuti Puna, ki te noho ki Rangiora Waitaha. Tēnā koutou. As Stephen mentioned, I have the absolute pleasure of leading an organisation called Kainga Maha, and we are a full-purpose development, management and advisory company. So we essentially are in the space of straddling, understanding the development, commercial realities of development, but looking through the process of developing and bringing forward raw land to unlock flourishing communities and unlock social outcomes as well. So we're part of a wider ecosystem, as Stephen mentioned. So Kainga Maha is actually wholly owned by a charity, Home Foundation Charitable Trust. And within our ecosystem, we actually have four organisations that are very similar to Kainga Maha. They're charitable companies that enable us to work across the vertical, the full supply chain. And so we have at every stage of development. So we have Home Capital Partners, an impact investment fund that invests in projects to primarily unlock impact, but also financial return that's reinvested. We have Kainga Maha that does the whole development process end to end. Home Construction, which is a for-purpose construction company that has been in operation for 15 years, working across the Motu, and then also a community housing provider partner as well, Te Kainga, which is a tenancy and property management company. So we have that ability to see the solution of providing housing through both the process during development, but the long-term. And I love that already, just so swiftly into the conference, we're hearing about mokopuna decision-making, because that's exactly what we're about. In addition to managing our projects that Home Foundation is investing in, and we have a number of projects across the country, working with other community housing providers, as well as Te Kainga, our in-house CHIP. We also are really passionate about enabling other organisations as well to unlock value in their land. And we're doing a lot of awesome stuff working with mission-aligned organisations such as churches, trusts, councils who have land and recognise there's an opportunity to unlock value, but wish to do so in a way that isn't just about financial return. There's an opportunity to provide housing that truly speaks and addresses the needs of the community. And that's really what we're about, recognising that actually there's a perception that the two are exclusive, are mutually exclusive, and we don't think that that's the case, and we're demonstrating that as well in our projects. And that's where the tenet of mixed tenure really comes in that we recognise, and there's a lot of research both here in New Zealand but also overseas that shows that when you design communities and you first and foremost wish to understand the needs of a community, how a new housing development responds to economic growth, responds to addressing some of the social injustices in a community, actually they make for better places as well, because you're not only commercially diversifying your market base, but you're actually delivering for a wider range of whānau and people who are representative of the local community. So when we talk about mixed tenure, and I actually like to actually talk about mixed communities more than just tenure, because I think mixed tenure is one aspect of it, providing a range of housing tenures, so affordable housing, social housing, through to progressive home ownership, where housing is essentially, that's an assisted housing program that comes in various forms, as well as market-facing tenures like market rent, market sale. But we actually need to be providing not just mixed tenure, we need to be providing mixed communities. And that's essentially designing and developing communities that respond to local need. And we've got a number of examples, and there are many others as well that have here in New Zealand been successfully providing mixed tenure and demonstrating that the benefits of mixed tenure not only make for flourishing communities, communities that respond to the local needs, but actually also there are a number of advantages to mixed tenure, both socially and financially. So at the moment, the market is a little bit more challenging in terms of kind of development economics, but there are some really good examples of where mixed tenure actually can cross-subsidise the affordable and social outcomes, or mixed uses can do that as well. So recognising when you provide higher value uses, you can, or tenures, you can realise a higher development profit, which can then be utilised to cross-subsidise and support the delivery of subsidised tenures. But there's also a real important social benefit as well. And research, there's some amazing research that's coming through around the benefits of mixed tenure actually providing places that demonstrably unlock longer term outcomes for children, recognising that mixed tenure communities unlock the social capital that is needed for people to thrive and to create flourishing communities. But we need to make sure that those mixed tenure communities are designed in a way that doesn't segregate, and there are some examples of that as well. So we talk about mixed tenure blind communities where there is no ability to differentiate between what is for one tenure and what is for another.
I really love that. And your description is so accurate because I've visited over in New Brighton, where there is one of these developments, and you're walking along and you can't tell, like, oh, this is private, this is public, this is, and I thought, because I went to that opening, and I just thought it was so well done, and the beauty of the actual buildings themselves, like this is somewhere that you would want to live in. Maybe in the chat, we can put some links to some of these things so people can go and see for themselves. So, Annie, thank you so much for joining and sharing about that. I really appreciate it. I've really enjoyed supporting that kaupapa and that work. Yeah, it's awesome. We're going to keep things moving along just because it is a full agenda. That's how it's going to be. But I really want you to be, I know you're not all into community housing or social housing, but it's amazing to hear from people who are, right? And what can we learn in your areas? Some of you are in climate change, or you're in Te Reo Māori advocacy, or whatever it is. Be thinking, what can I learn from these other sectors? And be encouraged that, like, right now, there's 383 other people who are inspired by purpose and are here. We can learn from each other. Keep putting questions or comments in the chat as we go. Next up, James Palmer, we have. Thanks for joining. You are from the Community Housing Funding Agency, and I actually know more about this than maybe I should in some ways. I'm the chair of the board of this company. So, James, I'm just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the scale of what you're up to at CHIFA, the acronym of Community Housing Funding Agency. Yeah, what's going on? How are you getting money to community housing providers? And we'll start there. Thank you.
Kia ora, Stephen, and tēnā koutou, everyone. What a privilege to be with everyone at this really exciting conference. So thanks, Stephen and Parry Field, for this opportunity. So CHFA, although we answer to a number of names, is a mission-driven lender and a social enterprise. So we're here to provide finance and back our community and affordable housing providers. And some of the speakers before have done a great job of communicating who they are. So these are a lot of the heroes around our country on the front line of providing homes to people in need. And we really came at this from a scale and systems-wide solution piece, which was, it's in the tens of billions of dollars we need to spend as a country to solve our housing crisis. As Paul said, we want to be aspirational though, and we've got $369 billion of funds under management. So CHFA is designed to allow our charities to come together, and we lend to them now 33 across the country. And on Tuesday, we hit a special milestone of $500 million worth of lending throughout the country. So we're able to build a bridge between what government funds, what charities and affordable housing providers deliver, and then we offer a mainstreamed impact investment. So we sell bonds where we put together all this debt to mostly KiwiSaver providers, and allow us to save our retirement savings and invest them into solving our issues. So we try and make this a real win-win.
That's awesome. What a great summary. Thank you. Um, I'm going to save the other question to see if we have time, James, and I'll come back to it. But yeah, keep up the good work, and it's great. Like I say, I have a front row seat on this one. And last Thursday was special because we actually won the Infins Award for, was it the debt market deal of the year for the $200 million social bond offering? So you sometimes hear the negative, but there are positive things here. And this is an example of impact investing, mainstream investors putting money in to build houses for people who need them. Estelle Parker's here with us. Thank you so much for joining. And this is making it a truly international conference because she is over in Australia. And she's from the Responsible Investment Association of Australasia. Estelle, can you just explain a little bit about the role of RIA? And I'm really curious if impact investing, what are you seeing from traditional financial markets? Any thoughts on that? Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much. It's really great to be here. So RIA, Responsible Investment Association Australasia, we're an industry group. We cover over 70% of managed funds in Australia and New Zealand, and we've been around for 25 years, including in the New Zealand market. I think it's about 23 years. In terms of kind of and so our membership covers institutional investors as well as trusts, foundations. We have sort of asset owners, asset managers, and impact investors are a really important part of our membership as well. And also financial advisors who are increasingly interested in speaking with their clients about their values. So in terms kind of internationally, the impact investing market is continuing to grow. It increased according to the Global Impact Investing Network at a compound annual growth rate of 21% over 6 years to 2025, with an 11% increase in just 1 year. So it's really on an upward trajectory. And the Global Impact Investing Network's estimating globally the size of the worldwide impact investing market is about 1.6 trillion US dollars. The most popular sectors include, you'll be pleased to hear, housing, but also clean energy, healthcare, and inclusive financial services. And I would say kind of the institutional investment space is a really interesting one for impact investors. We are seeing a number of the larger funds, asset owners in particular, thinking of Australian super funds, allocating to impact investing. So funds like Rest Super, Australian Retirement Trust, have kind of a percentage that they a small but important percentage that they have allocated to impact investing projects, and then others like UniSuper do invest in impact funds. So we house, part of our work is to house the Aotearoa Impact Investing Network, which is kind of an amazing group of very passionate and experienced people, kind of the collective and collaborative hub, which has investors, business, government, service providers, foundations, trusts, and other organisations, really the foundation of the impact investing landscape in New Zealand. The Impact Investing Network has been around for about 9 years, and it's really shaping the impact investing space, connecting people, educating people, and advocating, of course, for the right environment, regulatory and policy environment for impact investing in Aotearoa. So it's a really fantastic community.
Thank you. Everyone's so succinct. I love this. Thank you for that summary. I'm actually on that Impact Investing Network committee that you just mentioned, so I've seen firsthand the great work that you're doing. So thank you for that. I know you've got conferences coming up, so let's put in the chat how people can find out about those and link, and you got some amazing resources. I think it's really interesting to look at the Australian model as well, because there's been higher contribution rates to super, and it seems like there's a shift from how much financial return can we get from our investment to thinking more, well, actually, how could we build up what our society needs through the super funds? So
that's right. And people in Australia, as well as Kiwis, kind of expect, like our research that we do shows that KiwiSaver account holders actually expect their KiwiSaver to be invested responsibly and ethically. And I think we are seeing kind of that shift to interest from institutional investors. although, you know, there is still a bit of a liquidity problem and it's improving, but a lot of the impact investment opportunities are too small, like the scale's too small for those larger institutional investors to really consider, because they do have minimum requirements. So it's improving. We have some really interesting examples in Australia of impact investors collaborating with non-government organisations and not-for-profits and partnering with them. So there's a really interesting example from Conscious Investment Management here in Australia, where they're partnering in community housing, and they have a specialist disability accommodation engagement with a number of housing providers, including St George's Community Housing, which is a not-for-profit, and likewise Macquarie Asset Management, which is a really large institutional investor here, has a portfolio company developing sustainable housing, and they also partner with a group called Enliven Housing, which does specialist disability accommodation. So it helps to improve, like, they know who the users are going to be. They're very conscious about partnering and engaging with those people that are actually going to be living in those that housing. And so that partnership with the non-government organisations and not-for-profits really helps with the investment thesis for the long term, but also providing impact.
That's awesome. Well, if you're able to put in the chat some links, if you there's a few things there, but then people can investigate and find out more. Because the point is, this panel is focusing on social housing, but these models could be applied to other areas. So I know Save the Children in Australia, for example, they set up a fund, people invest into it. That fund then invests into startups that are advancing purposes related to child-related needs, such as apps, clean drinking water, you name it. So thank you so much for sharing. Our final panelist that on this panel is someone that I know really well, and I'm very grateful that she's here, Judith Bullin. She's a fellow partner at Parry. She's here to just give us a little bit of a legal perspective, because Judith, some people on this call, they have a spare car park, or they have some grassy area that they've been mowing for 25 years, and they might be interested in exploring, well, what would social housing look like? What are some of the legal points that people need to think about if they're approaching this? Thank you.
Great. Yeah, well, thank you, Stephen. I'm Judith Bullin, one of the partners here at Parry, and one of the partners who leads our community housing legal team. And what that means is that we work alongside many different amazing entities who are working in this community housing sector. We provide legal advice and assistance to enable them to deliver positive housing outcomes for whānau in New Zealand. And so when someone comes with a blank piece of land wanting to unlock some potential for housing on that land, it's really exciting. And what we will do sort of in that initial stage is try and help people or entities understand what are some possible uses for that land, because they might come with a set idea in mind. But what we love about the community housing sector is that there are so many experts in this area, so many people and entities who have gone before and done great work. So often connecting people with others who have gone before in this sector and have some knowledge can help you really understand exactly how you could use that land. Once you've got your idea about what you want to use the land for, we'll walk alongside you, helping you understand the due diligence, what risks might be coming up as you try and acquire that land and develop it and construct on it. We'll also help you understand what a possible legal structure is, who's going to be involved in your project. It might be, we've had some really cool ones where it's been lots of different groups from the same community all wanting to provide housing for people in their community. And so it's been really exciting to work alongside those groups to figure out how can they work together safely and a great partnership to unlock some housing for whānau in their community. And then we work through the development phase and the operational phase. And then the exciting part, when that development's complete, we sit down and we say, what's next? And we work with people to go to whatever their next project might be.
That's great. Thank you so much. There's a lot behind the scenes, because we see a lot of people come to us. Judith and I work closely basically every day, and we often see people with amazing hearts who want to do the right thing. but it's important to get that foundation right. Well, to use the house metaphor, if you're going to build a house, you got to get the foundation right. And some of that does come back to getting the legal structures right so that you are going to get the right foundations right from the beginning. So thank you so much, Judith. That's great. And I think Bridget is dropping things in the chat, but feel free to add things as well. I really like this chat, by the way. Everybody, you're doing really good. I'm amazed at how many people have put what they're involved in and their purpose. So keep that up and keep adding pointers or things that you think of as we go. So I wish we had more time to have a sort of a rounded discussion with all of these amazing panelists. But we are going to keep things moving because that's part of today. It's going to be half hour, half hour, half hour. And I saw that the next speaker has already joined the call. So I'm grateful that he's here because he's a very busy guy, and I'll introduce him in a second. Before we do that, though, I mentioned the Changing Paradigms book. I've got a copy here. I actually have a whole bunch of copies. I would like you to use the chat function to tell me what is one thing that is bringing you joy at the moment. And hold off on hitting, you know, chat, submit, get them ready. What's one thing that's bringing you joy? Now, my team, they don't have enough to do. You know, they're just all the technical side. I'm joking. They're very busy, but I'm going to get them to look through the what's bringing me joy comments, and then we're going to select 5 people, and you're going to get sent a physical copy of this book. So if you've got that ready, what's bringing you joy? Let's go ahead and hit submit, and let's have some good things pop up. That's great. I love it. It's like a flood of positive energy here. Before we get to the next panel, panel number 2, I wanted to mention this. It's from Barcelona, Spain, and this is like a transition from the last group to this next group. This is not from the Sagrada Familia, which is the church in Spain, but it is a little representation of a part of it. This building was designed by Antonin Gaudi, and as you can see, it's got all these little broken bits of tile that make up something more beautiful. That building, the first dirt was dug in 1870s, and Antonin Gaudi died in 1926. They continued to build that building for 100 years, and now in 2026, they hope to have the final bits finished. So we were talking before, Ali was mentioning the Mokopuna legacy, thinking intergenerationally. What is it that each of us are working on? What can we contribute to that is that intergenerational perspective where we might have to hand on the baton to the next generation to keep going, to keep building?